But unfortunately, as you guys know, I'm on a lot of medication for my shoulder and just things did not work out the way I wanted, which is why we're doing a live instead of me in the studio filming. Hopefully this audio is good. It looks like I'm getting feedback on that. I do need my reading glasses. Give me just a moment. Give me just a moment. If you guys are still watching, I don't know who's here. Nobody's going to show up. Hang on a second. Be right back. Probably should have made sure I had those before I started. But I didn't, so there they are. There they are, there they are, there they are. Got them, got them, got them, got them, got them. Sorry for any delays. I see that there's someone here. Let me get this chat set up. Since I went to get my reading glasses so I can read the chat, we're gonna show all messages. Hey, morning guys. I could not put off taking my medication like I did yesterday. My shoulder was really hurting. So you get impaired mic, which is why, like I said, we're not filming out in the studio. So this has been something that I've talked about in videos before. We talk about, like, because knives come in all different sizes and shapes. And if you're here, drop a like. I imagine it's the same person that's usually here every day this time. And they left. So what was I saying? Yeah, so this has been a topic, and I'm going to hold off until everybody gets here. I'm going to give you a note, just a heads up. What's going on? I'm probably going to have surgery on this shoulder. Let's see, where is everyone? Hopefully a notification for this actually did go out. I've had problems with this in the past, so give me a second. I'm going to go grab something. We've had problems with notifications not going out or not meeting up, but this has been a topic. I forgot to take one of my meds. Sorry, guys. This has been a topic of discussion because some people say that there is no such thing as a knife being too big. Hey, Wasman Mansouri. Some people say there's no such thing as a knife that's too big. Some people say that, like, that a knife gets to a point where it's unuseful and and I do agree with that to a point. There are some knives that do not suffer from that. So the thing is, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but I wanted to point out some stuff. I got to take my medicine. I definitely tore something up in this shoulder. There's a broad spectrum of edits and gameplay. Hey, hi. There's a broad spectrum of size of knives in the knife market today. This is a mini. No, I'm not singing happy birthday. This is the mini nightshade. It's significantly smaller than the original version. And there's a lot of companies that do that. Most notably, there's the Begleiter. So there's a regular, there's a small, and there's the XL. But this is the XL, Begleiter XL. Pyrite. I'm on painkillers, and I tore up a bunch of stuff in the shoulder when I was in the military, and now it's bothering me a lot. We're probably going to have surgery, but I have severe pain in this shoulder all the way down my arm, and it's nerve related. So I'm on Percocet, muscle relaxers, and prednisone. So just years of abuse. At any rate, Begleiter XL. And tell me if the audio is good as I move around. If you're getting any weirdness in the audio, that means I need to reconnect the remote microphone. Begleiter XL. There is the original version, there is a small version, and then there's this one, the XL. Right? So this is, well, happy birthday, Grayson. Like I said, I'm not going to sing it to you. This is the Begleiter XL. And it comes in the Begleiter comes in 3 different sizes. This, because I'm a big guy, is just a different version of that fits me. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3", somewhere around 230, 235. I wear triple XL gloves, double XL, triple XL gloves, depending on where you're at. So this is a perfect knife for me, right? This is the perfect size for me. Some knives, I like a smaller version. Like I said, this, in my opinion, is better than the full size. And if you're here, please drop a like. All you gotta do is double tap the screen. This is the Nightshade, the mini Nightshade by Vosteed Knives. This is a better size for me personally than the full size version. That's not always the case. I personally find this knife, which is the regular size Voyager Tonto, to be almost too big, but yet they then make several sizes bigger, right? There are numerous sizes bigger than this, and I'm like, that's just too much. This is too big. And a lot of that has to do with something we're going to talk about later. A lot of companies make multiple versions of a knife, which I love. I love to see companies make that variety. And it really came to light when I got these. So this came in a while ago. This is the Django, right? Django with the XT lock. It's a great, great knife. Beautiful blade shape. Great, great outdoors knife with that blade shape. It's a good size for a lot of tasks and things like that. But for me, it felt cramped. Kanwu released the XL, which is a better version for me. There are things that this knife does better, but you can see significantly bigger in size. The problem is some companies have a tendency to try to go too far with it. And I'm not gonna lie, there are some knives that are just ridiculous in size. So we're just gonna get that out of the way. This, what is this? Oh, Aiden. Aiden, yeah. If it's a 30, you're like, thank you very much for the $2. Aiden is one of my paying members. Also drop me a super chat, which you can do since I'm laid off. Actually had a job interview this morning though. This is what you saw in the thumbnail. This is the Slayer, right? This is getting to a point where this is no longer something that's functional. Is it cool? Is it awesome? Yeah, this thing's great. And I still have to do a video about this, but with my shoulder the way it is, I don't know how soon that's gonna happen. But this thing's huge. This is considered a knife. But the fact is, in the thumbnail that you saw, the comparison was a full-size combat knife. Like this is the knife you saw next to it. For size perspective, right? Big knife. Here's one for you. This next knife is a full 13-inch, where'd I put it? This knife is 13 inches overall, right? I like the big knife too, but it's just, it reaches a point where it's not functional. This dagger, this knife right here, 13 inches overall length. This is a 13-inch fighting dagger. That's a 7.5-inch blade and a 6.5-inch hand. I'm sorry, it is a 7.5-inch blade, 5.5-inch handle, whatever it comes out to equal. No, 7.5. I think it's 7 and 6. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. I do know that this is 13 inches overall. Just to put that in perspective for you, this is more than a foot long. The blade on this knife is almost a foot long, right? How do you justify something this big? I mean, there are situations where you would want this. So this is where we get into the fun part. So case in point with another, this thing is great though. This is almost too big. This would be good as a, you look like a sophisticated Joe Exotic from Tiger King. I never watched that. On the way home, listening to it and hit the like button. Yeah, I hit the like button. This is a full custom. You guys probably saw the short. I mean, hopefully you saw it. Like 30,000 people watched that short. This is a full custom fighting knife. This is the Mac V Bowie, the SOG Mac V Bowie custom that Shaney did over at Shade Indonesia. This is too big. This isn't what I would want. As a matter of fact, a lot of the knives that I showed you already, which are some of them knives that I carried when I was in the military and things like that. The SRK, I carried one of these. They are too big. They really are. And I'm gonna explain that. But I love how companies have decided that they're gonna do different sizes. And some people are like, oh, that's stupid. Like, who would want that? For a large portion of the knife community, a knife that is 9.5 or 9.25 inches overall length, one can be problematic when you look at blade length legalities, and the scenarios you're going to carry them, but this might be too big. But this is the Military 2 and the PM2. And can you see, they're the same knife, just one's a little bit smaller than the other. There's a reason that you do things like that. For a big guy like me, a big knife is going to fit my hand the way you want. Guys, there are 54 of you here, only 9 likes. Please drop a like. It was going to get more people here. Only thing that I have to say is, for a bigger guy, a bigger knife is going to fit your hand better. I find this knife is superbly comfortable. This one's even more so. Like, this is one of the most comfortable knives I own, right? 9¼ inches overall, right? It's a big knife. For a smaller person, this might not be the knife you want. It's not going to fit your pocket. It's not going to fit your hand. It's not going to fit your use, and it's probably going to be uncomfortable to use. The problem you have with knives that get bigger, and I'm going to point it out on some of the knives that I have that suffer from this problem. The farther you get the tip of the knife from the pivot, typically you start running into issues of controlling that knife for smaller, fine details. Look at how far you are removed from the grip. This one's not horrible, right? It's not horrible. But, let me see here. Well, Leo, I'm not going to approve that comment, but that's not what this is about. These are, I didn't buy this knife. This isn't mine. I didn't buy this knife. This isn't mine. I don't carry. Typically, I'm not carrying a super big knife. Very rarely do you ever see me have any of those knives out for anything other than a video. They're part of my collection. But you run into problems with knives when they start to get too far removed, from tip to pivot, because you lose the ability to control that knife very well, which is why I truly have started to, in a lot of cases, gravitate to knives that are a little bit smaller and easier to control. I got another held for review. Oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of knives that wind up being too far removed from tip to pivot. This is not one of them. This is a fairly large pocket knife. This one has a very good angle. This one is very controllable. I would not want this knife any smaller. However, this knife is a little bit large for some people. This is a great, great knife, right? It's a great, great knife. Yeah, I can't translate. I can't even read your name. I have dyslexia anyway, so that's not going to be good for me. But this knife, I'm going to have a headache. I keep forgetting I'm 50 years old. I need reading glasses to read the comment section. This is a very, very controllable knife. A lot of that has to do with weight balance. A lot of that has to do with the angle that the knife sits. It has to do with the angle of the handle and things like that. And some companies get it really, really, they hit it, they just nail it every time. There's a knife in a case over here that is 9½ inches overall, and it doesn't feel that big. There's knives that truly do carry and feel smaller than they actually are. This is the Miguron Knives Valona. You can check them out. They have a website, AM8, and Miguron makes some great knives, but this is the Valona. This is 9½ inches overall length. In hand, doesn't feel like it. In use, it doesn't feel like it. It is just the right angle, the right everything on this knife. This is probably the best budget knife on the market to make this larger knife, this 9½ inch knife, feel much more akin to what you would have using, holding, and carrying this. The balance and everything on it just makes it work. This one, the one that feels, this one feels smaller than it actually is. This is bigger than it actually feels, and it's the Miguron Knives Valona. It's probably the best, like I said. This knife carries really well. It feels really well in hand. The balance, the controllability you still have of that knife at the tip, even though you're pretty far removed from it on that pivot, is great. And that's one of the things that I look for in a knife. A knife doesn't have to be too big to lose that control. There's a lot of knives that feel like that. This is there's a model that feels bigger than it actually is. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put it? Where'd I put it? Are you talking about the mini knife that I showed already? This one. This knife, there is a larger version of this knife, and I find it to be less comfortable. Cutting wise and things like that, this absolutely feels like a full-size knife, even though this is the mini version. I carry this in my watch pocket all the time. It goes in my watch pocket, but when you've got it in hand, because of the angle approach, the shape of the blade, the balance point on it, the way it's contoured that you're in on it, I can get a full 4-finger grip on this. And then this is a very, very controllable knife, which is the point I'm getting at. When you start talking about something being too large, it's too large for its design. This knife, a lot bigger, right? A lot bigger, still really easy to control. That has a lot to do with the blade to handle ratio. Big handle, smaller blade. I still have really good control of this, which is good because this is a knife that you could use for an outdoor style knife because you've got this nice flat here, but you've got belly for skinning small game. This is really controllable for a lot of people. This one even more so because it's a little bit smaller. Can you see how much more I can choke up on that and get up on that and do some detail work? For me, this felt cramped. Even though this is bigger, I don't feel that this suffers at all being a little bit larger, right? What happens a lot of times is, like I said, when you look at how far you are from where your fingers are to the tip of the blade, you start to lose that fine motor skills ability to control that knife and the blade and everything. And like I said, if the audio changes, let me know so that I can let me know so that I can make sure I've got my microphone reconnected properly. Let me see here. So here's a case in point of a knife that is almost too big as it is. This is and Cold Steel does this a lot. As great as their knives are, sometimes Cold Steel does it. This knife is almost too big, and this is the smallest version of this. This is the Tylite by Cold Steel. They have a larger version. They have, like, I think there's an 8. I think there's an 8 and a 6. Jesus. There's an 8-inch and a 6-inch version of this knife, and I can't remember which is the small. I think there's, at any rate, there's one that's smaller, one's larger. I'm on narcotics. I'm not going to do a lot of deep thinking right now, but this knife is almost too big because it takes up so much in pocket. It's deep. It carries deep in your pocket. It takes up a lot of space, but this isn't a knife that I'm going to use for a lot of work. So I really don't care. This is something I'm going to use to let the air out of someone. So this is a good knife for that. It's got a nice piercing tip and everything. So for the purpose of this knife, what I would carry it for, it's awkward, but it serves its purpose. Give me a little bit of reach, and it's just basically a piercing tool. Spyderco for a long time has made, like I said, you saw these ones, PM2, Military 2. The PM2 is a cut down, smaller version of the Military. Great knives. Like I've said a bunch of times, probably the best, in my opinion, this is the best EDC on the market that is going to fit the needs for everyone, right? I hate Benchmade. The Gypsy Moses, I really don't like them because their price structure and their knives are really not that great these days. They're overpricing things. There's a video coming out about how much better crossbar locks are from other companies like this Microtech. But Spyderco has got a line of knives that is my favorite knives they make, right? This is the Endura. This is probably, like I said, this is the best EDC. This is my favorite. I shouldn't say this is the best. This is the best knife that the best knife that they make, right? This is the best EDC on the market. This is my favorite line of knives they make, which is the Endura series. Super comfortable, great in hand. This thing is not for everyone. It's a little bit too big. But for all intents and purposes, this is a larger version of this knife. You see it? Same handle, just scaled up. There's also smaller versions of this. There's a Delica, which is basically the same knife, but there's also an Indela, right? The Indela, a little bit smaller. So there's multiple knives in that size, so you can pick one that fits what you want. And guys, please drop a like. There's 82 of you here, and only 14 likes. 90 of you here and 15 likes, I should say. So, like I said, a knife being the length, bro, I just got here and I thought you were threatening me by holding that thing like, no. It doesn't have to just be that distance from pivot to tip that can make something too long or too large, too big. Some knives suffer from some weirdness just in the way that they are made. And I have one here. For as much as I love this knife, I have two of them here. I have several of them, I should say. This is a knife that is just ridiculous all around when it comes to size. This is one of the biggest knives I've ever seen. It looks like something a Space Marine would use as a side in their pocket. This is a Space Marine's pocket knife. Almost a pound, super, super thick. Look at this. This thing's massive. But this doesn't suffer from what I'm about to tell you guys. This knife is pretty well balanced for as big it is. It's not something you're going to throw in your pocket. Weight-wise, it's ridiculous. But incredibly well made. You see how thick that is? It's not something you're going to just throw in your pocket and carry. This is more of a novelty piece that you have in your collection that you break out when you have certain people around that you know are going to appreciate this. Right? Great, great knife. Incredible knife. It's heavy. And it does suffer from one of the same things that we're about to talk about when it comes to size. This takes up so much space in your pocket. I was not a 40K nerd until the PS3 Space Marine game came out, and then I started consuming every bit of Warhammer 40K content that was on the internet as far as YouTube content and videos, and I got into lore and started reading the books. I'm not a tabletop game kind of guy. I'm not going to paint a bunch of miniatures, but I definitely appreciate all the lore and everything that Game Workshop has built and all the stuff that has been done. At any rate, I've played Space Marine 2 through twice, and I'm playing Space Marine, the first one, on PS3 right now. At any rate, this is too big for most pockets. It really is. It takes up way too much space in your pocket. It absolutely takes up too much space in pocket. There's a lot of knives that suffer from that. I love this knife to death. This is the Ironfly Knives YOLO. And this is an incredible knife. But do you see? Let me get another large knife. Okay, so this is a Django XL. Do you see how much space this takes up in your pocket for it being a small knife, right? What's the name of the Space Marine? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That is the PMP Kodiak. PMP knives, the owner of the company sent this to me for the channel, to use on the channel. It's great. This was a great, great knife. It's been reviewed. It does get carried and stuff like that. I have a diverse set of interests. I spent 13 years in Japan. I did Japanese swordsmanship. I learned Japanese. I also got into Japanese culture. My wife's Japanese. I love Japanese game shows. I love Japanese TV. I love Japanese history. I studied Japanese. I have so many books up here. I've read The Art of War like 5 or 6 times, and all kinds of stuff, right? I have a diverse interest base. I also love rodeos and dirt track racing. So at any rate, knives can be big, but still be very carryable. This knife is a big knife. I think this knife is 9 1/4, right? This knife is 9 1/4 inches, sits in your pocket beautifully, deep carry, does not take up all that much space. It is not as difficult to carry, to tell you the truth, as this one is, right? This is a very easy knife to carry. It's an easy knife. It's a very well balanced knife. It's got really good balance from point to tip. You've got spots where you can choke up on it and use what is a fairly large knife very easily. This knife, not so much. This is a tank. And when you look at it, this is a smaller knife. And it's taking up as much space in pocket as this giant Dirk Pinkerton. Fuck, I can't remember the name of this one. I can't remember the name of this one. But I'm saying, like, this is just, this looks like a Buick bumper, right? This looks like the bumper off of an old Buick that they just basically like, cut it in half, polish it up, put a proponent. There you go. Dirk Pinkerton proponent. You can't carry this. For one thing, this, oh, I don't have my other phone. I do need to grab that in case my daughter texts. I'm sorry. I used it for I did a Zoom job interview in Texas today. I would be in Texas pretty much the entire time except 2 weekends a month. I would be back here in San Diego. Don't know yet, but at any rate, this thing takes up a lot of space. Let me go grab, don't go anywhere. I'm coming right back. And you probably will still be able to hear me. This will be a good test of the microphone. You may be able to hear me all the way out to the studio. I just didn't feel like trying to get lighting set up for the studio today. Oh, my daughter did text me. So my daughter is doing midterms at UCSD today. Well, 142 people here. So this is the proponent, and this is an iPhone SE 2020, right? Was an exposed tang at the pivot, just can't easily make a knife less pocket friendly. Exposed tang at the pivot. Dirt McGirt. I don't, are you talking about this? Or, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what we're talking about, McGirt, on this. Exposed tang at the pivot. I'm not sure exactly what we're talking about because, I mean, I don't know. At any rate, that thing's freaking massive. Blade stock is what, 6 mil? I don't know what the blade stock is on this. But, oh, in the corner of the tang shows, you're talking here? I mean, it's just one of the, folding knives are difficult to get right. I mean, fixed blades are the way to go. If you ask me, everyone should be able to carry a fixed blade, and everyone should, oh, I see what you're talking about. I don't really have a problem with that. So I don't have a problem. There's a lot of things. Like, you're never going to get like the best possible. You're never going to get the best possible thing when you're looking at folding knives, because they're a compromise. Folding knives are a compromise. This one, I see what they got it taken care of. But folding knives are compromised. And the problem with a compromise is you don't wind up, you basically wind up with something you don't really want, but that's what you're stuck with, which is why I like fixed blades. You can get away with a lot of stuff in a fixed blade. Blade to handle, you can address that. You can have full, now there are fixed blades that are too big. I'm not gonna lie to you. But like on this one, blade to handle ratio on this is just about perfect. It's well balanced, it's easy to manipulate, it's got the right weight balance and everything. This is not too big for a lot of stuff. But when I was in the military and I carried this, it was too big for what I wanted. It becomes less useful. I got way more blade than I want. I've got using this, I got to get way up on it like this to do the things I want up here, because the further you are from the tip, the more leverage the blade has. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to move your hand around. I designed knives that fit my purpose, that gave me a better, where'd it go? I designed my knife to be a little bit better when it comes to that. Let me grab it. Not trying to, because this knife is discontinued. They don't make this knife anymore. I'm trying to find it. Where'd I put it? So I designed a couple knives, and they wound up being, I'm digging, digging, digging. Here's one. This is a very, very useful utility knife, and I can manipulate it and get way up on it. I wanted it to be like that so that if you wanted to have, you know, a guard and you could get behind it for heavy duty cutting, then you could choke up on it, right? This is not a very big knife, right? This is a AD 20.5, which is a small, this is not a very big pocket knife. You can see, small little fixed blade. It's great. I wanted something that was more function over form. A lot of people see these and they're like, oh, that's really, really fucking cool, and I love that, and I want a knife that looks like that, and I'm still trying to find my knife design. I'm afraid that I took it out of this box and left it sit somewhere. No, there it is. I designed a combat knife that I wanted, right? This was the combat knife I would have wanted. It doesn't give up a lot, right? I mean, it doesn't give up a lot because that's still plenty, right? That's still plenty of blade. The problem is with those knives, if I was trying to cut something, if I'm trying to cut something with a knife this big, it's, one, they're usually really thick. They usually have got a compromise grind on it because they are usually leaving you a very, very thick tang, which means you don't have a lot of time to transition to the edge, which means they're a thicker behind the edge profile. They don't cut as well. Like I said, when you're putting pressure on this part of the knife, you have a hard time generating the force out at the tip where you want to be able to cut something. If you just bring that tip back closer to your hand, like a lever, you get more of a 1-for-1 as opposed to a 2-for-1 force against your hand. This is almost 1-for-1, blade to handle. Easy to control, easy to use. You can power cut, you can choke up on it. It's got jimping everywhere, and you can just really power into something, and you're not so far removed from your hand that you lose it. And in a pinch, if you do need to use this as a combat knife, I called it a combat utility, you can definitely use this as a defensive or offensive tool. It's plenty aggressive. It's got all the grips you would want. It's got a finger guard. It's got all of the things you would want in a combat knife. It's got a spot here you can take this out. Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake. They're available on Amazon. Use my Amazon store so I get paid twice. I have an Amazon store in the description down below. I get paid twice. I get my royalty from Artisan, and I get a cut of what you paid on Amazon. You take this. There's three pieces of hardware on here. You can see this one's a little bit further away. You can take this off, take it out, and run a lanyard through it if you want a lanyard on this knife. You don't lose anything on the handles. You've got a full tang on this. At any rate, what I was getting at before I'm really passionate about this design. And I'm so sad that it's discontinued. But there may be a dagger version of this coming. This basically lets you have the best of both worlds, combat and utility. I don't need to carry a second knife in the campsite if I've got this, right? I can use this for tasks. I can use this to cut open an MRE. I can do all those things, right? We did these in 20 CV. So I can use that for all those tasks and still use this if I need to. The fact is the K-bar and other knives that are designed like it have stood the test of time. They're beautiful knives. I love the history of them. I love this knife. I carried one for, I want to say like 14 months when I was downrange. Well, no, there's a whole story about that. But at any rate, this or the Randall-made version of this. This is the cold steel version. This is too big. It still is too big. And a lot of times, just like the K-bar, they wind up looking like a sharpened club. You don't need a knife to, it's not trench warfare anymore. It's not jungle warfare like it was in Vietnam, or it was close in and stuff like that. You're no longer using your knife in an offensive role. You're not dispatching people into trenches in World War II. You need something that fits a couple of dual roles because most of the time you're in a Humvee or you're at the fob. And this is going to fit what you want. Crusher Kratos. I keep trying to add my Sea Snake to my carry, but it has a massive sheath rattle. I don't know what would have happened. I would reach out to Artisan and see if they'll replace your sheath for you. It may have gotten relaxed. So what happens, guys? These are Kydex. They get molded. Sometimes if it gets shipped to you, depending on weather, it may relax due to heat. or if it got left somewhere hot. You may be able to get a hold of Artisan at their customer service and tell them that you need a new sheath. This is one of the production prototypes. I have carried this extensively, and I mean, there's a little bit, but a lot of what you're hearing, most of what you're hearing are these soft loops. So that's, what's this? Raccoon Sex Dungeon, you'll have one? These things are under $50. These are under $50. And this is a knife that you absolutely could use as well for self-defense. This knife wound up being so perfect on a construction job site when I was working construction that's why I decided to make a production version of it. It just was so great. I carried one that I'd made for my friend. I carried one that I had made for my friend, and I was like, look, I'm not gonna do the final finish. I just want to carry this and see if it's what I want. Did it end up the way I wanted? And it absolutely did. And I approached a couple companies, and Artisan was like, yeah, we want to do it. These are available 4 different versions. I think there's 4 different versions. 4. And I apologize, guys, if I'm scatterbrained. Like I said, the opiates that I am on for my shoulder pain and everything, it does take a toll on my ability to be coherent. So yeah, too big in pocket can be a problem. This is not a big knife. Well, I mean, like we said, I wear XXL gloves. But this doesn't suffer from that being too big. This is easy. This is a superbly easy to control knife. Great to use. It's like having a little box cutter straight razor in your pocket. But if you reach into your pocket to grab something, it's in the way. No, they also have an all black. Bladed ginger, 3 colors from Artisan, green, tan, and black, but they also have the all black PVD version, which is different. And the cool thing, not to go back to it, the cool thing about their knives, every one of the knives comes in a sheath that matches the color. Can you see that? That's what really struck me. Was a lot of times you get the knife and they're all in black Kydex. They did brown for brown, green for green, black for black, and it's really, really cool. It looks like a sheath in a pocket. I don't have the Ulti clip on this to put it in a pocket. I typically put soft loops on it and carry it scout carry if I'm gonna carry it, but it comes with this. The only reason it's on here is so I don't lose it. But that's what it looks like in sheath. So like, I can't remember the overall length. Everybody's like, wow, the dimensions on your knife are really weird when you designed it. Why is the blade that length, and what is the handle? And I'm like, I didn't measure anything. I made a handle, and when I found a handle that was the comfort level I wanted, then I designed a blade. So I basically just kept cutting pieces of metal into shape, and then I would put handle material on it. Rough handle material, just shitty, like leftover stuff. And then when I got a handle I wanted, I picked a blade length. And when I started making blades for it, I just found a comfort level and things like that that was the right length, what I wanted. Nice distal taper on it, so it's still piercing, but it's a really strong blade. At any rate, you want to see what it looks like in pocket? Like, keep in mind, like I'm 6'3", but that's what it looks like. But I typically will carry it scout carry like that. So, Roman, I don't know what language that is, and I can't just hit translate. So Roman, that's your last comment there, the question marks. Absolutely what I was asking. Don't know. But there are knives that go too far, as much as I love this. And once again, Spirit of the Bear on Instagram, if you're looking for one of the... Oh, trash truck. Trash day. Garbage day. You remember that? What movie is that? When he pulls up the pistol. This knife's too long. This knife is too long to be useful for much of anything. We're not even gonna talk about that. Okay, here's the thing, guys. We're gonna remove that comment. I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about religion. I don't talk about current events, because we get it everywhere else. We don't need it here. That's why I don't watch mainstream media, and that's why I don't watch sports. That's why I don't watch much TV anymore, unless it's... I'm watching the original Criminal Intent. I'm watching the original Law and Order Criminal Intent, because you know what? the first like 9 seasons, nothing woke, nothing conservative. I don't need that. That's why I even buy from a company called Coffee Brand Coffee, because they refuse to support any causes, right-leaning, left-leaning. I don't need politics in every part of my life. So please, if you're going to be here, you're welcome to hang out, but this isn't the place for that. This is not a, so Levi, I can't pronounce it. I can't even read that. That's not a midget. That is a full-size wingless sprint USAC CRA. That is Ricky Gaunt, and that is his Oval Nationals winning, and it's assigned. I am a huge dirt track nerd. So that is, what year was that? 1999 Oval Nationals champion, Ricky Gaunt. That's signed. This was a combat knife. This is 100% a fighting knife, sub-hilt fighter. This was not meant for anything but use in fighting. This is a fighting knife. This is not a survival knife. I have a survival knife, or what would be considered a survival knife, and it's too big. It's not the actual, don't flip out, I do not have the actual. This is a reproduction of a movie knife that was carried by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Commando. Okay, guess what? This is the point where I escort you from the chat. So there you go. Have you ever shot an MP5? I carried an MP5. So this thing is a reproduction from, and it's not Rambo, this was from Commando. This is a reproduction of the knife that Arnold Schwarzenegger carried and got in the fight with, can't think of his name, at the end scene of the movie Commando. This is a replica, movie replica from Commando. This is the life support system, was originally a Jack Crane design. And it's one for one the knife from the movie, but it's done in shitty steel. It's a replica, but it does have the compass in the bottom. It's got a spot for survival stuff or matches and stuff if you wanted to. So this is a survival knife. They're still not great, right? Even the expensive $2,000 version of this knife's not great. It's a bullshit screwed on tang and all that, but this was a survival knife. A knife that I honestly would consider a survival knife, more accurately, would be something like this. This is not a bad knife for survival. We've gotten off track. I knew it was going to happen. This would be a survival knife. This is the M3, I believe, by Lion Steel. This is a great, great knife. This would be all of, this is a 12-year-old me. I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like all these knives that I've gotten recently that are things that I want. I have 2 knives that were gifts from a friend of mine. The LS1, which is what this is. This is a replica LS1 from the Commando movie, right? Even with a little bit of like, I love the fact that it didn't come perfectly finished. It looks like it's been combat carried. So LS1, I got that. And then another movie knife that I've wanted for years, and my buddy came across one. He found me a Terminator 2 dagger. These are knives that I saw in movies. These are things, they're not they're not great, right? This is, oh, my Taipan. So this is from the movie Terminator 2. This is the T2 dagger. This is the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger used to pin the biker to the table. It's great, but that's not survival. That's not a survival knife. A survival knife, in my opinion, right? Oh, I have good friends. I have good friends. My buddy got that for me for my birthday, and then this was early Christmas. I have a buddy that got me a cane sword. Then he found out they're illegal. And so he got me a walking stick that's built for fighting, knowing I've taken martial arts for years, and I can use it for all that stuff. This is not a survival knife. This is a Taipan, and back to needing better friends. My friend had a ton of points. So I have a friend, he was in the Army, and he was buying knives for his troops. And he's like, he would give the guys like a $5 discount. Everybody like, I'll get you a knife. I can get you $5 or like 10% off or whatever. And he would buy knives through his account. They would pay him to buy the knife. He got the points and he would get free knives on them buying for it. And so he had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of points on Blade HQ, got married. He's like, I'm not buying knives anymore. He's like, feel free to use my points. And we got this with his points on Blade HQ. This was 100% purchased with his points on Blade HQ, and then I bought the sheath from a guy named Harry Savage at Savage Made Sheaths in Saxon, Virginia. Great, great sheaths. Great sheaths. I love this sheath. I wouldn't say that I would change it, but I honestly feel that if you're the best leather work in the industry right now for secondary Market is Michael Spanger's over at Spirit of the Bear. This is unbelievably good leather work. Incredible, right? Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Dirt McGirt, at one point you and I had a falling out on here, and I actually had blocked you for a long time, and I saw you in comment sections on someone else's live feed, and I have to apologize to you the same way I apologize to a few other people. At that point in my life, I was suffering from some undiagnosed and untreated PTSD issues, and you had done nothing wrong, and I just remembered that Dirt McGirt, that I had blocked you, and I went through and I unblocked a lot of people, giving them a second chance, so I owe you an apology. This is my public apology to Dirt McGirt. He got banned for a while. It was years ago. It was years ago. You said something and it rubbed me the wrong way, and I completely blocked you on my channel. And I went through and I basically unblocked everybody, and people that are getting blocked now are the trolls that are in the live feeds. So you probably, here's the thing, you probably didn't even know you'd done anything that, like, it didn't take anything. It didn't take anything. I 100% was struggling with some mental health issues that had been undiagnosed and untreated for a very long time. And so here we are. I'm apologizing to you publicly in front of 117 people that are watching it here, and probably thousands of people that are watching it on the shorts feed, because when I see that there's that many people, typically that means that we've got a lot of people that are watching it live. So currently right now, 4,000 people have watched this live feed. So you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. So starting fresh. Knives that are too big that for weird reasons. This one is weird because it is too big. It's too long. It shouldn't be this long. It's got some issues. But this knife, for its issues of being too long and everything, is very, very comfortable. This is amazing, right? This is the Momo by Kaiser Knives. And this is absolutely the only folding style kitchen knife. And I mean, that's what this is. This is a folding kitchen knife style knife. This is the only one I like. This is the only one I like. I don't like the Spidey Chef. I don't like Leon Ma's folding kitchen knife that he made. They're all trash. This one was not intended to be a folding kitchen knife and wound up being the best one I've seen. I've used this for stuff around the kitchen. It is great. I wouldn't say I'm a gentleman, but I'm not a complete, yeah, I am a complete asshole, but I'm a lovable one. The Amphibian, we're getting around to it. The Amphibian. 9.25 inches, 9¼ inches. This thing is amazing. Todd Carr, are you speaking French? Are you guys Canadian? Have I got a bunch of Canucks in my thing? Translate for me, please, Todd Carr. Or Mark, or whoever it was. Todd Carr, translate for me. I don't speak French. I did take French in high school. I took 3 years of French. I don't speak a fucking word of French. Our class trip for language club was Mexico City. It was completely lost. However, I can still listen to it. I can't read it. Like, I can listen to it and I can pick up the gist of it. Japanese, I'm great. If I try to speak French, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna not find. Hey, love from India. Hey, Xerox. I substitute the words in French that I can't remember with Japanese. So at any rate, this knife is incredibly comfortable at its size. This is 9¼ but what it has going for it is it's not too broad. It's just about the right thickness to allow this knife to be comfortable in hand and everything like that. And so when you hold it in hand, the contouring, I'm sorry, not the contouring, the radius that this knife has to it puts you at a different angle that allows you to control this knife. This knife should not be easy to use at this length. However, it is very, very easy to use because of different things they've done. The angle that you've got on your hand, in hand, the drop of it, the way that the blade comes up and it's recurved and everything, makes this knife extremely easy to carry, use, deploy, all of that. This is my favorite knife. This is the best knife I own. Hands down, it's the best knife I've ever bought, and I've got several knives that are well over $1,000. Ben Kern, if you're going to use it, use my Blade HQ link below. You can also find a purchase link in the video I did about this knife. So I have got horrible heartburn. That's one of the side effects of my medicine. Stand proud, Mark, you're among friends. But yeah, knives can have a tendency to be too big, and some knives are big specifically for a reason. Let me see, is that it? These two, no, not that one. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to show you guys this. I'll show you this knife. We're going to do a video about Carnivora. So sad what happened to the guy that was making their knives. What was this? If you're going to spend a lot of money on knives, might as well buy handmade. I'm going to disagree with you, and I'll explain why in a second. John Wick, go back and remind me if I don't address that. This is my Demolition Ranch hat. My dog destroyed a hat that I was wearing, that I was going to wear, and I can't find my Pittsburgh Steelers one. So this is Demolition Ranch. I got a bunch of hats. This knife is big for a specific reason. This is what it's built for. This is a chopper and an outdoor field knife. It meets so many of your needs if you're like camping and things like that. You don't have to carry a hatchet. It batons really well. It chops really well. You've got multiple grips. It's not unwieldy and unmanageable even at its large size, right? This is a great knife for a lot of purposes. I still think that if you're going camping, you shouldn't carry this because that limits you with things you can do. I would probably take, in that situation, if I was going camping, I would take a combination of this, right? This is the Nebulax from Artisan Cutlery and the Lion Steel M3, and you've got a large pouch on here that you put a sharpening stone in and some fire starting material and stuff like that. This combination is not as heavy as this. It takes up less space. This is gonna be your best possible combo because a lot of the things you can do with that big knife, you can do with this, and a lot of the bushcraft stuff can be done with this. And just so you guys can see, I have absolutely used the ever-living shit out of this. And so it's been well tested. I'm gonna tell you, this is probably one of the best bushcraft items you're going to find. You know, it's one of those, yeah, you can leave the hatchet at camp and you're not carrying as much weight with you. I gotta get it in its sheath. I'm sorry. I let this sheath sit in the sun and it's not the right size. I tried to repress it and I didn't do a good job of it. I heated it up with a hairdryer, repressed it, and I didn't get a real great. I left this in the car. Guys, if you carry a knife that has a Kydex sheath, don't leave it in the sun in the car. It's gonna relax and then your shit will fall right out of the sheath. So, and guys, there's 105 of you here, but only 31 likes. Just double tap the screen. Here's another knife that is very large, but carries really easily. This is the FB01 by KATSU Knives. Coupon code crazysharp saves you 10% at your overall purchase at KATSU Knives. This is a great, really robust outdoors knife, right? The FB01, AUS 8 steel, really well done G10 handles, full tang. This is a great knife. And the thing it has going for it is, like we talked about with this, where did I put my favorite knife? With this knife, you have the same thing that you get with this knife, right? That cant of the blade gives you better controllability. It changes the angle that that blade sits at. It changes the angle that you're chopping with. It changes the angle that you're addressing the cut with. And this is going to be going to Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery for him to put it through its paces, because right now with my shoulder, I can't do the things I want to do with this. So this would be a great option. It is big and heavy though, just like that last one, the Grizzly. this one that we were talking about, right? Absolutely a great knife, but do you want to haul this? This is heavy. Do you want to haul this around, right? Big Twin. No, I don't think you do. What other knife did I have that is so big? Oh, this one. I love this knife, right? I love this knife, but I really can't use it. As much as I love this knife, I really can't use it. And I love it a lot, but it has a weirdness to the way it feels in hand. If you're just using it for like just power cutting and things like that, that knife came from Scab. Mark Burris, that knife was a gift to me. This was a knife that was a gift to me from Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery. Love that dude. What a great, great dude. 24 hours. If you're just filling up the chat with stuff that's just derailing everything that people are trying to talk about, I put you in timeout. I have 3 knives over 4 inches, just bought an SE Nestmook. That's the the SE. Nestmook knives are great. Nestmook knives are great. They're great, great shape. Here's one that I forgot about. I was going to show you guys. And I filmed a bunch of videos yesterday. There's going to be a bunch of stuff going up. You're going to see some compilation videos and stuff like that. And I don't know what has happened here, but we are not charging. Did the audio change at all? I got to know if the audio changed. Somehow my power bank kicked off. So this is, did the audio change? Let me know if the audio changed. I know I asked like just a second ago. You guys haven't even had time to type. This is the Tough Light by Cold Steel. This is not a very big knife. Really, really comfortable. It's a great, great knife. But this is another one that I've found that I like this version better. Cold Steel for years. This is another thing. Cold Steel for years has provided you with knives that you get the regular size and the small one. You had the Lawman, you had the mini Lawman. It beeped. No, my power bank beeped. I don't have an extension cord. We don't have any good extension cords. All of my extension cords are garbage. I'm gonna have to go buy some. This is a better version of this knife, in my opinion. It really is. It's easier to carry. It is not giving up a lot. I mean, you give up a little bit in blade length, right? But as far as like how well it cuts, I don't use, for what I use this knife for, I don't use the entire blade, right? This tiny knife, full 4-finger grip. That's full 4 fingers. Like I said, I don't have normal sized hands. This thing is great. It is amazing. And we're going to do, what was this? Brando Picks, I have 3 SEs. What do you think of them? I carried them deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. I never liked the SEs for me always were a bit, they never, how do I say this? They kind of were thick and didn't cut quite the way I wanted. They were incredibly well-made knives, but they were always really heavy, and they just never quite did what I wanted. They never met my overall needs and criteria. You know what I mean? So that's not a go-kart. That is a 410 cubic inch engine basically in a piece of tubing that's going around a track at about 100 miles an hour sideways. At any rate, somebody asked about a slip joint. Can you guys, I'm gonna walk away for a second and I'm gonna go grab a slip joint. Yeah, I know it looks like a go-kart. But anyway, I'm gonna go out to the studio. I wanna test and see if the audio is great, and I'm trying to figure out why the power keeps kicking off. So let me go grab a slip joint. I have a slip joint, a couple slip joints that I can give for recommendations that are done by the same company, and they are amazing. So hopefully this audio stays the same. Hopefully the audio stays the same. Now, I like slip joints. I like slip joints a lot. They're great. Did the audio, could you guys hear me the whole way? Was it nice, like crystal clear? Was it crystal clear? Like it didn't change at all when I walked away? If it didn't, then that's great. If it did, I can solve that because it will definitely make it clear. It stayed the same. Audio was good. Okay. So here's a couple slip joints I absolutely 100% recommend. This microphone system I use is insanely good. So this is the Clinch River swayback. This knife, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take off the thing. This knife, it's in my way. As much as I just wish, I almost wish I hadn't put the bead on this lanyard. I keep having to take it off and put it on, take it off, put it on. If you have a Bluetooth, it's the distance that's making it crack. Are you getting crackling? Because I'm not that far away. And it's not Bluetooth. It is, yeah, this is Rosecraft. This is not a Bluetooth microphone. This is an actual radio frequency. It's a radio frequency transmitter receiver. It's a professional grade. I'm using a lavalier. The transmitter is here. I'm using like full on, no joke, like pretty much professional grade shit. This is the slayback. This won Import Knife of the Year 2 years ago at Blade Show, I believe. This is an incredible, great knife. This is a slip joint that is incredible. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap. And I have 2 microphones. If you guys remember, we did the video at my buddy Tino's place. And it was his full thing. We were both mic'd up. The audio was great. There was no distortion and thing. So this is the Rosecraft Barlow, which I absolutely love. So this would be what I would recommend. As much as I love the swayback, I mean the Clinch River, I just set it down. Not for everybody. This is more of an easy carry knife. It slides in your pocket. They never stop trying. Yeah, I just delete their comments and stuff. So this sits in your watch pocket. It's great. It is beautiful. This was a gift from Scab as well. This thing is great. They're little Barlows. Use coupon code crazysharp at Rosecraft Blades, 10% off. I don't make a penny on anything that you use that coupon code for. It's strictly a coupon code I wanted to get for you guys because I like their knives and I wanted you guys to be able to pick them up. But this is a very classy design on this. This is done incredibly well. It's in the same gray bone. I have 3 other knives that have this same thing. It's like a set almost. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. It's done in D2. I've had to sharpen it once because I use it a lot, but technically I needed to sharpen it because I cut into a staple. Oh, hey, buddy. Want to come up? The pup is not feeling great. He's just been kind of lethargic and laying around. We had to give him, he had shots yesterday. So he had his vaccinations yesterday. Do a knife trick. No. Here's a trick. It's called the reverse flick. It's the only trick I'm going to do. That's it. That's what I got. Here's one. So, yeah, I have really started to gravitate to knives that are not what I typically had carried in the past. I always like, oh, you're gonna have a big knife because it's cool and that. And then I started to realize when it really set in was when I was carrying this and I had gotten another knife. Coupon code is crazysharp, all one word at Rosecraft Blades. So if you use coupon code crazysharp, you can use that at Fair & Forge Knife Works, Rosecraft Blades, which is these guys, and the slip joints that I'm recommending because their slip joints are amazing. Well, all their knives are amazing, but their slip joints in particular are just killing it. I don't know where I put the other one here, like this Barlow. So you can use coupon code crazysharp at Rosecraft Blades. A lot of their slip joints are under $100 anyway. So it's, you're saving a little bit. But you can also use it at Fair & Forge Knife Works. My buddies Chris and Elliot, like if you're wanting to buy their kitchen knives or their folding knives, 10% off there. And KATSU Knives, who are making my folding knife, not to self-promote too early, but they're making a folding knife for me, and their knives are incredible. They're the same company that makes this one and this one. So they make both of these knives. They're both incredible knives. If you go to their website, you can save 10% on their entire catalog by using Crazy Sharp. all one word. So, do you have any knives from Dagestan or Chechnya? No, I do not. I do not. I don't even know of any companies that are out there. I have a couple large, here's another large knife. So this is a fairly large knife that does not feel awkward. And like I said, once again, it's handle shape, positioning, blade to handle ratio, and how it feels in hand and the angle you're at. This is very, very controllable. The only issue I have with this knife is how much belly it has. They have it, like knives like this that have so much belly, they have a tendency that I wind up staying more towards the back, but you can choke up on this. You can use this for small game, skinning animals, things like that. And 81 of you here, but only 41 likes. Please drop a like. Just double tap the screen. So yeah, this thing's great. There's a lot of knives that, who makes a decent knife, has a good hardened blade. I'm one of those poors looking for something that is tough, will hold an edge and won't absolutely break the bank. Rosecraft Blades has got a lot of really good stuff. You can find secondary market knives. You can find a lot of companies sell seconds. Cold Steel used to do this all the time. They would sell seconds and things like that. If you're looking for a decent knife, really good heat treat, Cold Steel would be where I go. The Cold Steel heat treat is probably the best. They have a lot of knives in the budget line, and they really do something cool. Just so you can see. I got this knife. It was a second. It had some issues and some flaws on it. It was a second. I think I paid, actually I didn't get this. This wasn't the one that I bought as a second. Rickard, 13 months. This isn't the one. This is the one my buddy sent me because he had it overstock. At any rate, this is the OSS. This is like a $100 version of a knife that they also have a $250 version of. Exact same knife. Different materials, exact same knife. This is an AUS 8. Cold Steel's always gotten the best out of cheaper steels. They really have done an incredible job of taking steels that a lot of companies shy away from because they aren't the best steels really when you look at it, and then just getting the most out of it through a good heat treat. They have a lot of knives on their website. This knife that I designed, under $100, Jacob, not trying to get you to buy my knife. Artisan makes this out of a steel that is not just that it's a really good steel, but this is probably one of the easiest steels to maintain. If you know how to sharpen, then you should know how to strop. And stropping this on cardboard, or not cardboard, I'm sorry, newspaper wrapped around a block of wood, absolutely brings it right back up to shaving. I have done tests on this where I'm like, that knife won't cut anything, and then stropped it back up to shave and sharp. As long as there's not like a chip or a roll in the blade, this will strop right back up. And it does a pretty good job holding its edge, and it's pretty rust resistant. And you can see this has been put through its paces because this was one of the prototypes that they sent me for me to sign off on the actual production version. So Artisan and CJRB has got a bunch. You have more of your knives you can show. I only have the two. I only have two designs that are out right now. There's a folding knife coming, and I have the, I think I put it away. No, there it is. This one's the discontinued one that they no longer make. This is the Stonefish. You can still find them places, but it's great. Just those two. There's hopefully a couple more coming. So I didn't want to make coffee this morning. Like I said, I had to do a video job interview for a job in Texas. And I was like, fuck. KC24J. I'm glad you brought that up. That is one of the knives that does suffer from this problem. Let's go ahead and look at these two. I was issued this knife, but I carried this knife. This is the U.S. Navy K-bar. I was in the Navy. I carried a U.S. K-bar. This was U.S. Navy K-bar. This is a great knife. Awesome, awesome knife. Unfortunately, the handles aren't meant for doing a lot of tasks. The blade is a glorified sharpened club. It doesn't do a lot of tasks that you want. Like I said, that's why I designed that knife that you just saw, that Stonefish. I did not carry this. This basically, if you can see, like how, this is how This is how this knife was issued to me, and this is how this knife looks now, right? That's not, I have another one that's in here. There it is. I have another one that's in here. This was the one that I bought. I bought one of these because I was part of our Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, GWAT stuff. So this was, I have two of these, and I have one that was my dad's. So another knife that I was issued. I've been chewing on the idea of building a small forge. Don't do it. Making knives that way is really hard. Stacked leather goes to shit if it's... I don't like stacked leather handle. This was also another knife that was issued to me. This is the Gerber. Not a fan of Gerber, but this was a good one. This was the Gerber Harsey Hunter. This was an issue item. They got, I don't know where they got them. I think they just got them at the PX when they were issuing knives. This is a great little knife. And it comes in a really great sheath. This does not suffer from that problem. A lot smaller, a lot easier to control, really, really good contoured handles, and a very, very nice sheath system with a locking sheath that has all your molly gear and stuff on it. You can lash this to your gear. This was a much better option that they issued me on. This was a different trip downrange, but I've had this for a long time. So stock removal, yeah, stock removal is way easier. Have you ever owned a SOG Steel Pup? I had a SOG Steel Pup. I didn't like it. You want a funny story? Here's a funny story. I was issued SOG Steel Pup when I was in the Navy. When I went on a I went on an IA, so this would have been 2003, right? 2003, I was issued a SOG Steel Pup. Yeah, 2003, issued a SOG Steel Pup. When I designed this knife at the first, I went to Blade Show West, and this was in for best new tactical knife, right? Best new tactical knife. I took second place to the SOG Steel Pup, and I'm like, how the fuck is that a new? Oh, well, they changed it. I was like, no, SOG Steel Pup is not a new knife. Just because you added something to it, or you, there's 78 people watching, and technically there's 1,000 people watching because I'm seeing it on the shorts feed as well. This is a new knife. This was a completely new design, and it lost to SOG Steel Pup. So I'm going to tell you right now that we're off track, but I fucking hate Blade Show. I'm not going to Blade Show. I'm not going to Blade Show West. I'm not going to do any of the Blade Show shit because all of their stuff is rigged. It's 100% rigged. You want me to show you that it's rigged? This knife is a 15-year-old design. Do you know what knife won best new, or I can't remember what it was. It won the most inventive design or something for 2024 Blade Show. This knife, a 15-year-old design. Brian Winters went to Blade Show with a magnet-driven fucking switchblade. 100% new design. Most inventive thing I've ever seen. His knife did not win. A 15-year-old design from Spyderco, right? I love Sal. I don't have, I've started to appreciate Eric for Eric being Eric. Brian Winters went to Blade Show with a knife that was a switchblade that ran on magnets and lost to a 15-year-old design. So I'm figuring, since this is a 25-year-old design, that this year at Blade Show coming up, this should be primed to win best new knife design. Blade Show's pay to win. Their costs and things, it's turned into garbage. There's a lot of shows that are like that. If I go to anything, it's going to be the California Custom Knife Show, which is this weekend, and I'm not going because I can't drive because I'm on narcotics and I don't have a hotel room, and I'm just not fucking going. Nico's not going because he's having, I can't go to it, but Nico, my little buddy Nico, is having a baby shower because his wife is pregnant. I wanted to show you guys something that is really cool, and I wanted to point this out because a lot of people joke about this being worthless. This is a knife that I absolutely have come to appreciate and love, right? Have you ever been to SHOT Show? No. I've never been invited, and I really don't care to walk around that much, to tell you the truth. This is the EMW by Yan Knives. And I know that this isn't what we're talking about, but somebody asked a question about slip joints. And it's popped in my head, and I grabbed this off the shelf because, yeah, Winter Blade Co. So this is a unique knife. It is a front flipper, and it reminds me of a slip joint. And in my head, that correlation made sense to bring this out. This reminds me of a slip joint my father always used to carry, which was called a muskrat. And a muskrat had two almost identical or identical blades at either end of the knife. And just like this, you've got two almost identical blades. And I absolutely love this. And this knife is probably one of the easiest knives to carry, use, and I've fallen in love with. And one of the big things that I love about it is you've got that area right there, and I can get up on that, and I can just put, it just makes it so comfortable. No pocket clip, because it's got a pocket slip that currently my gravity knife is in, because I use it for multiple knives because it's just a great slip. It's got a pocket clip on it. This thing is insanely comfortable. You wanted a reminder to address the guy who asked about getting a custom over. Okay. Custom knives, mid-tech, and production. At this point, with the quality levels you're getting from production companies, and if you want to stick with American-made knives, let's just use this one. This knife is better than any custom folder I've ever handled. It is. And the fact is, with companies dialing in their production and being able to consistently do it the same way every time, and having guys that are doing QA, as opposed to one guy in a shop. I was a custom knife maker. I'm going to tell you right now, it becomes a pain in the ass managing all the steps of making a knife by yourself. So if you hire the right people and you hire the right machinists and you've got a good eye for detail as a company owner, which I told Tony, I'm friends with Tony Marfian. It had nothing to do with that this wound up being the best knife I've ever owned. It just turned out that they made the best knife I've ever owned. This thing has everything going for it. And when you look at a custom knife maker doing every step of everything, things get missed. Because if you're trying to do multiple steps and you're trying to do your own QA, yes, are you going to be critical? Yeah. But a lot of times you start to get burnt out and you start not looking at things critically, and then you're like, I have to just, you wind up dialing it in sometimes. You're tired, you miss things. But if you got a dedicated crew that are only doing specific steps, you wind up with a better product. This, like I said, this is the best knife I've ever owned. Period. Hands down. I don't remember what the blade length is on this, but this is 9.25 overall. I think it's not just 9 1/4. And so when you've got guys, now there are some guys that just nail it every time. Bill Ruppel, love that old dude. Every one of his knives deserve to be the $1,000 that they go for. Some other guys, Jim Skelton just gets it right every time when he makes a custom knife. Now, with his first couple knives, yeah, there were some hiccups. There are some guys that just take the time and don't try to rush. The problem with getting a custom knife is a lot of times you can buy them on a secondary market. And a lot of times you're buying it on a secondary market because there's something wrong with it. What do I think about Bud K? I would rather throw my money down a fucking sewer grate than buy a knife from Bud K. Sun thrower. So I forget where I was going with this. Forgot where I was going with this. I really did. Oh, so you find these custom knives on the secondary market, right? Yes, it's better than my Grimsman Orson. Go watch the video I did about this. I did a video where like my new favorite knife. So if you're buying a knife on a secondary market, a lot of times you're putting these prices up and you're paying for the maker's name, right? And a lot of times what happens is knives that are on the secondary market have got a problem. Custom makers for years have been famous for this, because custom makers get in a groove and they start doing stuff and then they're like, oh shit, I got a knife show coming up. I got to make a bunch of knives, right? I got to make a bunch of knives to have them on the table at the show. And so then they're staying up late. They're jumping through their own ass. They're not QA and stuff. They miss steps. They fuck things up. The heat treat's not great. And then those knives get sold at a show, right? And then that knife then goes on the secondary market because the buyer realizes after the honeymoon period that they're like, fuck, this knife is garbage. And then they know that they can take it someplace like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Blade Binge, I have got an affiliate link with Blade Binge. You're better off with Blade Binge. Arizona Custom Knives, I don't really trust. So you get these knives that go on a secondary market because they're capitalizing on the fact that it's a well-known maker and it's a custom knife, and they sell it on there knowing that there's problems with it. As a matter of fact, is Martini a good knife brand? I haven't seen one in a while, so I don't know. Bro, this is what I'm ripping ears off to those who know mango. Okay, you know what? You're just here to annoy people. 3 Are you sure? Because this is 9 inches overall. Hang on. I have the wealth of human knowledge at my fingertips. Let's see here. We will look this up real quick. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the most useful tool that I found is Gronk on Twitter. Give me the specifications for the Microtech Amphibian ram lock. Ram lock. It didn't give me what I wanted. At any rate, it doesn't really matter. It's a fairly large knife. See, you guys got me sidetracked again. I was at a knife show and a guy paid $700 for a custom knife. $700. And he walked up to me. He's like, "Hey, Mike," because I was still doing a lot of knife sharpening. I was making knives and stuff like that. And he's like, "Mike, I need you to do me a favor. I just bought this knife over here, and I forget the maker. And even if I did remember, I wouldn't call him out because shit does happen. I'm not gonna lie." And he was like, "I bought the knife, and check it out." And then the blade had been done beautifully. It was ground down, and it did not have a fucking edge on it. Like nothing. The primary grind was there, like this part was done, but the actual edge did not exist. Right? And I was like, what the fuck is this? And he goes, "Can you put an edge on that for me?" I was like, "No, you paid $700 for this knife. You walk your ass over there and you tell that dude that he needs to fucking make this right. Either give you a different knife that has an edge, or he takes it home with him and he puts an edge on it. Or he goes over to one of the tables where they have grinders and they're doing demonstrations and he puts a fucking edge on it for you." Sometimes you drop tests and it just shatters. This is true. So yeah, I was like, what? No, you make him put an edge on that for you. Either he takes it back, or he gives you your money back, or he takes it home and puts an edge on it, or he puts an edge on it here. I was like, that is some garbage. And I think, you're afraid to fucking do it? I'll walk over there and do it. If he gives you any shit, I'll start filming it. And so I walked over and I talked to the guy, and I was like, "Hey man," like he's nervous because, and he's like, "Hey Mike, what's up?" I was like, "You put an edge on this for him?" And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "It's about as sharp as the tip of a flathead screwdriver." And he was like, "How the fuck did this even come?" He's like, "This knife wasn't supposed to be on the table." Turns out he didn't sell it. One of the people that worked in the table for him sold it. The guy didn't really look at it. It just looked like a really nice knife. It was the only other one on the table. He did take that knife over, and he took it over to the, I think Travis Wirtz had a table set up, and he was like showing grinding stuff. Put an edge on it for him at the show, no problem, not at all an issue. And I was like, see, that's all you got to do. Like, mistakes happen. You want another guy that gets it right every time? Let me go grab it and I'll show it to you. There is another custom maker that everything that I've seen, he gets it right every fucking time. And it's because he does rush. Like he's doing things right. He's got a good process. He's doing things correctly and he's doing them duplicatable and he takes his time and he's not overpricing his work. And I know you guys are like, fuck, Mike, we've seen this knife so many times. And my wife is going to throw a fit because there are literally 40 knives on a coffee table, an entire roll of knives, an entire I got to show you guys this. Hang on a second. This is the Lon Humphrey Custom Tucson. And every one of these knives I've seen is just incredible. I've seen 3 of them now. This one is mine, and they are just incredible. I carry this knife all the time. The heat treat, perfect. The handles, perfect. The blade shape, perfect. The blade grind, perfect. The finish, who gives a fuck about the finish? Because I let Scab borrow this, and he cut the sidewalls out of tires with it. This is a workhorse, but is it attractive? Is it beautiful? And is it just about perfect? Yeah, it really is. If you get your processes right, and then, like I said, heat treat on this, just outstanding. I love this. The reason it's out on my bench in the studio is because it doesn't ever go in the milk crate that I turned into a drawer for my shelves out there. It's incredible. So looks like an all-time, yeah, this is a great, great knife to use. Great, great knife to use. What time we got here? We're probably gonna do 2 hours. What questions you guys got? Like, I mean, I know we talked about like knives being too big and things like that, but what questions have you got? Like, I'm willing to answer questions because at this point, like I'm tired of thinking of things to talk about. Let's do this. Let's talk. And the puppy is not feeling good. Oh yeah, I said I was going to show you this. So you're going to lose audio for a second. I will readdress the audio issue. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Let's see here. So now your audio is all screwed up. So this is what my current coffee table looks like. This is all stuff that's just laying here. That is the rest of fixed blades that are out in the studio. And there's an entire roll of knives over here, and then there's a couple knives sitting next to me. So, yeah. I remember when Lon was testing for Master Blades. His stuff is outstanding. His stuff really, really is outstanding. So let me get the microphone reconnected, because it says it's receiving, but it's not receiving anything. So let's go ahead and get you plugged back in so we got some power. There we go. And then, and you guys should have better, clearer, crystal clear audio at this point. Is it better? Are we back to what we were before without the echo? Tons of questions. Who do you think is making the most clever knives? I remember when I was a kid, CRK took the title. Winter Blade Co. Winter Blade Co. Bustle Boy, he is making knives that the lock mechanism and all the action is run on neodymium magnets. So he makes autos that are made of, that the action on them is magnetic. Guy on the Strops live had a question. He asked, why is the difference between smooth and shaggy leather? Why is the knife gets dull on the smooth side? It does not. It's 100% a matter of how you're stropping. So I told that guy that he needed to like go watch the video that I did about proper use of a strop. What happens is on the shaggy side, it's not as abrupt of an angle change. And so when you're going on like the suede side of a strop, it's got a lot more shag to it, and it's just cleaning up the edge. When you get to the shiny side, it's a bit more firm, and people have a tendency to go too high, and what they're doing is they're just burnishing off their edge. They're just changing their angle. It's 100% the angle he's using. A strop should never make a knife more dull if you're stropping properly. It's never the strop's fault. It's 100% the person using the strop. What are your thoughts on Very Good Knife Company? Scab said that his knives are great. So I don't know. I haven't seen one. I haven't gotten to see one in hand, but I have heard a lot of people say that they're great. So I really can't give you a thing on that, Jimbus Maximus. I really don't know anything about that company. I really don't. I do know a company that you should check out, and that is Steingraber Performance Knives. Alex makes some of the best American-made knives on the market. This is way up there on my list of favorite knives. This was a gift from him. It was not to get a good review of a knife. This was a knife that he sent me for review, and after the review, I was going to send it back to him, and he told me to keep it. So, what's my favorite kitchen knives? Shun is way too overpriced. Okay. Go to Ferrum Forge Knife Works. Fuck, I got so much stuff out. My wife's going to throw it. I'm going to start putting some of this stuff away. The guys over at Chris and Elliot over at Ferrum Forge Knife Works designed a line of kitchen knives that are really affordable. They are great, great knives. And they are, like I said, I have a coupon code. I don't make a penny on the sale of those knives, but I do have a coupon code that will save you 10%. Crazy Sharp, all one word, at checkout over at Ferrum Forge Knife Works. They are great knives. I have a problem with Tor knives. It's a personal thing. I'm not going to get into it, but I won't ever buy any of their knives. Plus, their knives are never sharp. They're always kind of blunt. They don't do a very good job of getting good sharp edges on their knives. Okay, I said I wasn't going to, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this is one of the kitchen knives from Ferrum Forge Knife Works. This is their version of a Santoku. These things are better than any of the other kitchen knives we have. Hey, what's up, sir? Shout out from UK. Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. These are a core Damascus, so it's not shitty. This is super, super thin. So thin blade stock. The thing with kitchen knives is people like, oh yeah, who is this? And they wind up being too thick. This thing is an absolute laser. It almost doesn't exist behind the edge. This is the best kitchen knife I've ever had in a pinch grip. It's perfect. There are no issues with this knife. I've had a lot of really nice kitchen knives, right? And I love to cook. If you guys weren't fans of the channel back in the day, you don't know there were times where I just would do an entire live feed of me cooking and making pasta sauce because I grew up cooking with my grandmother. And then when I was old enough to go work outside in the fields, I worked on the fields and the farm. Absolutely learned how to cook from a half Irish, half Italian grandmother, right? This is probably the best kitchen knife I've ever used. Not to throw shade on Dahlstrom, who sent me a lot of knives, not to throw shade on Mattia Barani and that beautiful Bowie chef that he made, but this absolutely is better than anything I've ever had. So this is, why is he reviewing knives here? Because this channel is 100% about knives. This is Ferrum Forge Knife Works. This is Ferrum Forge Knife Works. Go to ferrumforge.com. These are amazing, the handles and everything. They've updated them. This was a prototype. This was a gift from Elliot, the prototype, and I did a video about it. But this absolutely is the kitchen knife. I could get rid of 99% of the other kitchen knives I have, with the exception of a really nice paring knife that I have and the utility one. They have a smaller version of this called the Utility Toku, and my wife took it to work, and she's using it at work because she works at the school in food service. It's a small version of this. It's like a paring knife size version of this. This thing is incredible. These are great. They are great, great. Looks cheap. Get the fuck out of here. So does your mother, Kellen. So does your mother. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I go too far? Should I get off Mom's, considering I just got off yours? They're not expensive, though, but they're done very well. They're done really, really well, and they cut about the best I've seen in the kitchen for a very long time. Maybe worth $7. Is that what your mom was charging behind the truck stop when she was sucking cock for cock? I don't know. At any rate, you put the edge on the cutting board, your knuckles won't touch the board. No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. The angle it's at, it's just about perfect. Everything about it it's well done. But Elliot is a very He's an at-home cook too. Both his parents are Italian. They cook all the time. It's like for Christmas they do a thing where they make they make ravioli at Christmas and New Year. It's like a big thing. The whole family gets together and does it. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, really well designed kitchen knife. And it comes with this, like if you're one of the guys that takes knives places where they go, like if you're cooking and you're gonna go someplace, it's got a nice little thing. You can throw this in a drawer. You don't have to put it in a knife block. It's got this nice little case that goes on, and it's leather. So, but yeah, that's my preferred kitchen knife. Can't beat a good old 6-inch German knife. I do not like most of the European style knives, and it has something to do with me living in Japan for 13 years, and you just didn't get, like the European style kitchen knives. You got these. Like that's what you got, because the ones that they had on base were just hot trash. So, other questions? It's like that AMA. Ask me, it's an AMAA. Ask me almost anything. I mean, you can ask me anything, but there's a good chance I might not answer it. I love that. I put my Mercer in my shirt, and it was so sharp it cut right through. Is the Vosti kitchen, I have not seen any of the Vosti kitchen knives, but I have heard that they are very good. And it would not at all surprise me, considering how good their folding knives are. I love their folding knives. I have so many knives that they sent me. This Corgi pup. Okay. Melio Knives. There you go. Aiden's Melio Knives, and I love to fuck with the owner. I go up and I got him a Dahlstrom shirt and stuff like that. He hates it, but it's funny. Melio Knives, Melio Knives are insanely good, but I'm also not a professional chef, and I'm not gonna drop $1,000 on a kitchen knife, right? I don't cook enough. I mean, granted, my kitchen knives are probably the knives I use the most, so why not get good ones? There's a difference between getting, like, I drive my car a lot, but that doesn't mean I need a Ferrari. You know what I mean? So, Vosti knives, their knives are all great. This is another one of those small knives that I don't have a problem with it being a small knife. I have started to gravitate to knives that aren't as big. I really have. That's not one we're going to answer. There we go. We don't talk about that. Have you ever been to Hong Kong Club in Tijuana? Not for a very long time. I don't know if that's where we went, but when I was like 18 years old, I was out here in San Diego. Yes, I did go to TJ. I go to TJ now simply because I'm 50 years old and I sometimes just want to go get fish tacos and 4 beers. I can walk across the Tijuana border. I can walk across the Mexican border from my house. I can get there in about 40 minutes. It's like 5-10 minutes across the border. I didn't take it personally. I just don't want it on there. That's the thing. Drifter, it wasn't that I took it personally. I just don't want that in the chat because then that's one of those things like politics and all that stuff. I just don't want it on the channel. So I said I would answer almost anything, and I didn't get personally offended. It doesn't bother me. So if that's why you're leaving, that's a silly reason. Smaller knives can be a lot more useful. That's what I'm saying. There you go, Jim. Not everybody wants to see that, and that's not what I want here. That's why there's no politics, there's no religion, there's none of that stuff that's here. This is a place to get away from all of that. And if you agree with it, that's fine. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. But just don't bring it here. That's all I'm asking. You're in my living room. Treat it as though I invited you into my house because I kind of did. Yeah, this is a great, great knife. A little bit smaller. Sometimes, for a lot of purposes, a lot of us guys have realized that carrying a big knife was cool, but for a lot of things, you want something more like this, which is why my EDC has changed. My EDC has changed over the years. I do still carry a larger knife. Most days, I'm carrying either this, where'd it go? Or this, now that this is here, this, which is this bigger version, or this knife right here, a larger knife. I'm carrying a larger knife because sometimes you do want a larger knife. You might have to do some heavy duty cutting on something, and a smaller knife's not gonna get it done. I'll carry this a lot. This is the big boy, the PMP big boy. I'll carry this a lot. Bigger knife. Sometimes you do need a bigger knife for certain tasks. But in concert with that, 9 times out of 10, in my pocket, there is one of 3 knives. It's going to be this one, which I haven't carried for a while. This is that Corgi Pup from Vosteed. The Mini Tough Light, and I carry these in my watch pocket sometimes. Or the Vosteed Mini knife, or the Vosteed Mini Nightshade, right? The nice thing about all 3 of those knives, they'll fit in my watch pocket, because while I'm carrying this knife, because this is going to be my day-to-day carry, or right now these 2 are kind of vying for pocket time along. These 3 are typically in, one of these 3 is typically in my pocket any day of the week. A lot of times there's another knife in my pocket that is a knife I'm testing. So the fact that I can have a smaller knife that fits in my watch pocket comfortably, I still have the big knife that I'm going to carry, I have the knife I'm testing, and then I have something for small tasks that's not as unwieldy. People don't flip out when I pull this out in public. If you pull this out in public, people are like, what the fuck, right? Because people just don't understand. Knives are tools. Knives are tools. That's why I argued when I got laid off for getting, somebody complained I had a knife at work. And I was like, come on, guys, seriously, we work security. What was that? Blade Boy SFE, I was going to say you're not in the garbage anymore, huh? Moving on up. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Smaller knives can fit a lot of purposes, and you can carry an extra knife. So you carry a couple knives because, like I said, you don't know what you're going to have to do. If I'm just going to cut open a box, there's a good chance that this or the Mini Nightshade, or this thing is great for knives. This is like this thing's great. This is a great little knife to just open up a box with, you know, or cut something. You need to cut something off. Like, if, case in point, my daughter's graduation. This knife was in my pocket. 1,000 people at her graduation. Am I going to pull out a big folding, aggressive looking tactical folding knife like this to cut off a little string off of her shirt, off of her gown? You know, her robe or whatever it was she's wearing, because she was valedictorian. She had this thing around her neck that, at any rate, this was what I pulled out. Because most people didn't even see what I did. Tiny, tiny little knife. It's always nice to have that flexibility in your EDC. And I've talked about that before, like flexibility in your EDC. I carry a flashlight. Is it nighttime? No, but have you ever dropped something and you need to look for it underneath the couch? How many knives do I carry at the same time? Well, I'm kind of an unusual case because, like I said, the channel is all about knife review, which means I have to carry those knives to be able to review them. Most times, I'm carrying a big knife, and I'm carrying a large knife. Like I said, typically these days I'm carrying this a lot because this just came in, it's mine now, and this is a larger knife. I'm typically carrying this. Most days this is in my pocket, but I'm also carrying a knife I'm reviewing. So I'm probably carrying 2 full-size knives and then a smaller knife. On days that I'm not like carrying stuff for review, like Saturday, Sunday when I'm just goofing off and I'm hanging out, I'm probably just carrying this and then a little knife. And if I'm just around the house in like a pair of sweatpants or pajamas or something, probably something like this, just toss it in my pocket. Or 9 times out of 10 on days that I'm not like doing any testing or anything for review, this winds up in the pocket of my sweatpants. Is Balisong a Benchmade term? No, it is not, Bustle Boy. Benchmade has made a lot of Balisongs, but Balisongs came from the Philippines. That is a word in Tagalog. I can't remember what it means. In the garbage. There's no, but here's the thing. My studio's not garbage, it's just cluttered because I got a ton of shit out there. No more Norseman. I carry my Norseman. What happened was so I have a, Grimsmo Norseman, and I love it to death. and I put it in my pocket, and the problem I was having was I used it for fucking everything, and I was constantly sharpening it. And I'm like, I noticed that I was starting to change the dimensions of the knife because I was constantly resharpening it. So I made myself stop carrying it, or I carry it in concert with a knife that I'm going to use, and I just make myself not use it for every task. I absolutely love the knife. I still carry it constantly. I say that, but I don't carry it constantly. It's locked in its case out there. I just had to stop carrying it as much because I was literally going to wear it out because I love it. So you should try out the ShivWorks clinch pick and a few for other defensive knives. I have to tell you, a lot of knives that people designate as what do you want to call it? Defensive knives or self-defense knives. They're not great for that task. There are knives that are much better for it, and I'm going to tell you right now, a knife that is comfortable and easy to wield and use may be what you want, and I'm going to tell you right now, this would be insanely good as a defensive tool. I also have got one of those little tiny push daggers with a blade no bigger than that. Awesome self-defense tool. You know why it's a great defensive tool? Because you don't see it. A weapon that you pull that the person sees, it gives them a chance to try to disarm you. If you use something that doesn't look like a weapon, something inconspicuous, you have a much better chance of using that for what it's designed for, what you're carrying it for. The more inconspicuous you can be about it, the more chance you're going to be able to use it. It's like the argument of open carry or CCW when it comes to a firearm. If someone sees it, now they flagged you as a threat, you're going to be the first person, right? Let me correlate this. When I worked for the government, I did counter-surveillance, counterterrorism, anti-terrorism, all that shit, right? And I would go to places outside the base, and you would see these guys that worked in training and other offices, and they're always wearing their tactical gear, and they look like they're a SWAT officer that just like left their guns and stuff. If I walked into a place and I am going to be getting ready to rob that place, my first thought, because I did the anti-terrorism, counterterrorism, things like this, you thought about this. If I walk into a place, what am I going to do? I'm going to assess my threat. I'm going to find out, and I'm going to look at who's going to pose me the most threat to prevent me from doing what I'm about to do. If I walk in and you're all tacked up and you're wearing gear that makes you look like Johnny Badass and you just left the SWAT training grounds, I'm going to shoot you first. Why? Because you, with your appearance, present me the most threat. I dressed, when I worked for the government, my beard was down to here. I wore a ball cap, jeans, dirty shirt. I would come in and everybody's like, why do you look like Joe Shit the Rag Man? I was like, because I don't need everybody to know what I'm doing. And so, same case in point. If you can have something that appears unthreatening, but you know how to use it, you can use it in the manner you want to use it without having someone flag you as that threat, right? I could cut you to ribbons with this before you even realized that I had this knife as a threat, right? This knife is small enough that I could deploy it in my hand and then approach you. You wouldn't even see it until I need you to know, and by then you're bleeding a lot. There are a lot of people that want to dress up cool and the tactical and Johnny Badass stuff. Never did. I never wear military affiliated gear. I never wear anything that makes me look like a threat. I very rarely will wear anything that I took martial arts for years. I don't need anybody to know that I know how to fight. You don't need to know that I know how to fight until you find out that I know how to fight. You know what I'm saying? That is the problem with a lot of people. And they get themselves in trouble. And they like to run their mouth and think they can. Anybody that's telling you what a badass they are, there's a good chance they probably aren't. Case in point, Scab, right? Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery. Scab's a badass. He doesn't claim to be a badass. He never does. Scab, just like me, has worked the door as a bouncer and doorman at multiple bars, multiple clubs, and things like that. I'm not saying I'm a badass. I'm just saying I'm good at de-escalating situations. I'm good at getting people out of the club when you need them to get out of the club and to eliminate issues that could be posed. Guys that come out and that most of the Navy SEAL guys, you know, you're never gonna know. You're never gonna know. They're not coming out. They're not wearing their gear. They're not wearing their SEAL team fucking hats and shit like that. They are not. You know why? Because they don't want the bullshit that goes with it. Because if you come out and look like Johnny Badass, people are going to want to test you. If you go out and you've got all this shit that lays you out, they're like, oh, I'm a Navy SEAL or I did this. People are going to want to test you because people are stupid. And then you wind up in a situation where you have to fight, and then you have to justify it. And now you're in trouble. Now you have to go to court. It's just one of those things. No one has ever seen me, like there were times where we had to, like we would do when you were doing training and stuff like that. And sometimes it is like, if you're wearing like cargo pants, it's a great, great thing to have from time to time. But like making yourself out to, if you make yourself look like something threatening, people are going to want to threaten you. It's that whole thing, you get back what you put out. You know what I'm saying? So my brother-in-law is a PJ, dresses just like normal. I wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah. The case in point, my daughter and I will go to the amusement park up here, up the road. And they do a thing, I mean, it's like an hour and a half from here. And every year around Thanksgiving, they start offering, you get free and one guest, right? There's an Army knife. There's a ton of Army knives. They offer free plus one guest, you get in, right? You get in, it's free, one guest, and it's for veterans. And I never have seen so many people walking around with their unit affiliated gear, and I'm like, why the fuck? Oh, go. I'm sorry. Playboy SFV. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm like, isn't that now I got you. Garage. I have dyslexia. I have dyslexia. I have a shirt somewhere that says, I have sex daily, and then underneath it, it says, nope, sorry, I got that wrong. I have dyslexia. Does the CIA secretly walk right beside us? I don't know. If they do, I don't fucking know. Because, well, it's a secret. Josh. You would have to ask somebody that's in the CIA if you could get them to tell you that they're in the CIA. I don't know. I have a friend that works I have a friend, she was a great intel officer in the Army. I met her and her husband years ago. We've been friends. I'm 100% convinced she works for the CIA. However, she simply is like, oh, I do State Department duty. I'm an analyst. I'm like, sure, State Department. Yeah, she's now in Europe. And I'm like, sure, that's not a fancy way of saying you work for the fucking CIA. But I don't care. I'm not going to ask because I don't need to come up fucking missing. You know what I mean? I go to the grocery store dressed like Charlie Sheen in Hot Shots. I shouldn't be worried. Depends on what grocery store you're at. But no, you see that outside of military installations. You really do. When I was in military, here's the thing they always teach you. Especially if you're overseas, you want to blend in. Don't make yourself conspicuous. Be polite and all that stuff, right? You be polite. You're an ambassador to the country. You're an unnamed ambassador to the country. All those things. But one of the things it does do is in some of these countries they don't like you very much. The less conspicuous you are, the better off you are. If you don't want to, if you don't want to be a target, you got to blend in. I learned to speak Japanese. From day one when I got to Japan, I learned to speak Japanese. I wanted to be able to, I didn't want to set myself out as, one, the ugly American. Two, I always loved Japanese culture when I learned the language. And three, that whole thing that they always teach you. Don't make yourself a target. So you blend in. You find ways to blend in. This is the Microtech Ultratech UTX-85, right? UTX-85. So They have the Ultratech, which is a full-size knife. That's the one that you saw in John Wick, which was the Microtech Ultratech. This is full-size. This is a full-size Tonto version of Microtech Ultratech, right? This is 85% smaller. So it's 85% of the size of this knife. I like this knife. It's cool. I never carry it. This technically is my daughter's knife. This one's cool too. Out the fronts are fun and fidgety. If I was to carry and pick an auto, an out the front auto, it would probably be this one. As much as I like the Combat Troodon, it's an awesome, awesome looking knife. The Combat Troodon's the one that Scott over at Kentucky Ballistics uses in his videos. You see him digging stuff out with it. This is more of a manageable size. This is what I would want. Because they're very, hey, what's the point EDC? What's up, bud? This is an aggressive tool out the front. My shoulder is bothering me. So this is great. And I want to throw this out there right now. There are a lot of people that shit on Microtech, and they shit all over Anthony Marfione. Anthony is a weirdo. I mean, that's all you got to say. Anthony is a weirdo. But when it comes to making knives, you aren't going to find much better. And all of the things, it's like the political banter back and forth. Everybody has their opinions about Microtech and all these things. But the fact I have to say is, what I can tell you is, I've never had a problem with a Microtech knife to speak of. When I did have a problem, I sent it to Microtech. It was on my Microtech Whale Shark. I sent it to them. They fixed the issue. Did it take them a while? Yeah. But this was back in 2015. Anytime I've dealt with them, they've been amazing. Spare parts, you need them, that's great. Send your knife in to get something fixed, it's amazing. Their products are amazing. They stand by their warranty, and they are absolutely, if you go to the Microtech table at a knife show, some of the most fun people you're going to meet, right? And their knives are incredible. This is the Microtech Amphibian. It's available at Blade HQ down below. There's a link down below if you want to check them out. These are right now $302, which is $150 less than I paid for my first Microtech knife. So back to Microtech. They are the only American-made company I know of that has increased their quality level and dropped their price. Their prices are about $150 less than they were when I bought my first one. Benchmade, we're going to talk about this. We did this in a video and I talked about it. Benchmade, the 710 was $110 when it first released in 1999. It's first knife with the axis lock. If you account only for inflation, the price of that knife based on $1999 to today is $195, right? But we do know the price of everything increases, you know, parts, cost of labor, all those things, right? So that, when you look at that and you look across the board, that probably puts it at around $300, right? Benchmade 710 today, which I've seen the new ones and I've seen an original one. 710 was a great knife. I remember seeing 710s because I was in the military, guys had them. The 710 was a great knife. 710 today is a piece of shit. And they're charging $600 fucking dollars. Benchmade is absolutely insane. And it's across the board with these price increases. Spyderco's price increases, let's put it this way. 25 years ago, this knife was in the $100 range. Now it's in about the $240 range. That is a knife that has kept up with inflation properly. They're not really technically charging, when you look at price increases and inflation, you are not paying anything more for this knife than you would have 25 years ago. You know why? Because Sal Glesser is smart. Sal Glesser is offering you an American-made knife in incredible materials, well done. They've increased their stuff. They've increased the quality of their knives. They've increased the quality of their heat treats and things like that. and they're staying within the realm of sanity on price increases. There is not a single fucking Benchmade on this planet that is worth $300. There's not. Let alone 6, 7. They're gold. They've got knives that are $700 to $1,000 in their gold series, and they are not very fucking good. And there's a reason that you've never seen me film at the, what are you doing, Chunk? There's a reason you've never seen me film at the Benchmade tables. Benchmade does come to shows that I've went to. You don't see me filming there. You know why? Because they're shit. Now, I did not used to film at Spyderco. I talk about Benchmade. What? BMKC. Who's saying something about Bustle Boy custom time? Wrong? Wrong who? What? At any rate, for a while, when I first started going to shows, was about the time that Sal had kind of stepped away from the Brandon Picks. I did a whole live feed about that. You can find it. It's the thing that most knife companies miss or screw up. I didn't ever go to the Spyderco table when I was going to knife shows because at the time, Sal Glesser had kind of stepped away, right? He kind of stepped away and Eric was taking over and Eric was doing stupid stuff. BMKC is, any rate, Sal had stepped away and I didn't like the way that Eric was running the company. And I said publicly that if I went to a knife show, and I said it in a video, and the guys that work there heard me say it because some of them follow me. And guys, if you watch this, I apologize. Back to, things have changed at the company. And I said that I couldn't film at Spyderco's table without looking at Eric dead in the eye and go, how's it feel to try and piss away the company that your father worked so hard to build? And that had been a standard thing in my head. Now that I see the direction the company's going, Eric has kind of leveled out. He's gotten things back to where they were when his dad ran the company, and it's amazing. I've talked about this in videos where, like, I don't hate Benchmade. I hate what Benchmade has become. I don't hate Spyderco. I hate what Spyderco had become. And I talked about that, and the reason is they were companies that I truly loved, that I felt betrayed by. I love Spyderco now. I've got right on the table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Spydercos on the table right now. There's more Spyderco knives on this table than any other knife company. Not even Cold Steel. So it's not that I hate Benchmade. I hate the fact that they shit on their customer base. They have capitalized on their name. She doesn't work there anymore, Winston. Little Fit Devil does not. Carla doesn't work there anymore. She hasn't worked at Microtech for going on 2 years now. Winston. Carla does not work there. She quit working there when they told her that, because this is one of the stupid things that Anthony does. They told her she could not do social media about other knives from other companies. She was only allowed to do stuff for her company that she worked for at the time was Microtech. So, plus I don't like her. I'm sorry. Unpopular opinion, I don't like her. It's not I don't like her, I don't trust her. I don't know what it is. At any rate, yeah, Spyderco has kind of made that turn and they've come back and they're offering really good knives at a really good price, that aren't insane over the top. They're American made. Microtech is really stepped into being like the premier high quality American knife brand that really doesn't break the bank. Like I said, 300, I paid 310 for this. I think I got that backwards. They were 302 when I bought them and they were 310 the last time I checked. Oh, I got you. I see what you're saying. Do I like the Microtech Stitch? Until I got this, the Microtech Stitch was my favorite Microtech knife. And this is 100% my favorite overall knife, period. So, guys, I got to get off here. I got to get the stuff put away before my wife gets home. There's a fit because there's literally 100 knives in her living room. I love you all. I will talk to you later. Take it easy. There's a video that goes up tomorrow. I believe I already have it scheduled. No, Sunday. There's a knife that goes up Sunday. No. Jesus Christ. Today's Thursday. There is a video that goes up tomorrow. And check out the back catalog of all the videos that are available. Winston, I'm going to give you a call when we break from here because I want to talk to you about something. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Check out all the affiliate links down below.